Beautiful night here at Alumni Stadium. 57 degrees, not a cloud in the sky at Boston College as the Eagles get ready to host Notre Dame. 20th meeting. They first met in 1975. Most of the games have been close. Boston College had a 6-game winning streak in this series until Notre Dame won last year in South Bend, a close game, 20-16. The Eagles committed 5 turnovers in that one. Down on the field, here's Heather Cox.
Sean, hard to believe a week ago Chase Rettig was a redshirt quarterback on the scout team. Tonight, he's the starting quarterback under the lights against rival Notre Dame. So how does a true freshman wrap his head around such a dramatic role change? I talked to Chase about it 45 minutes ago. He was unleashing 40-yard passes to try and get that adrenaline under control. He said he was motivated by a phone call he received today from his high school football coach, Eric Patton, who ironically played at Notre Dame, yet still told him to beat the Irish. And I asked Chase if he gets nervous. He looked at me, shrugged his shoulders, and said, "I didn't in high school. I don't know about tonight. I've never been in this position before."
And what a special position it is. College football debut against Notre Dame, one of the great programs in the history of college football. Sold out stadium, beautiful night, national TV. What a great way to make your debut.
And a bit of a leprechaun on the sideline there is.
Boston College won the toss and deferred, so Notre Dame will receive the opening kickoff from Nate Freeze. Down to the 8-yard line to Bennett Jackson, a freshman. A lot of running room. And he's all the way out to the 49-yard line. Leon Gauze made the tackle. 41-yard return by Bennett Jackson, and they haven't been particularly good in kickoff returns to this point this year.
Yeah, and they continue the trend. Here's the key block. And the reason it was so key is because they did it up the field and it allowed vertical separation, and he just hit right down the middle of that crease.
It's the longest kickoff return of the season for Notre Dame. They were 88th in the country in kickoff returns coming into tonight. They marked it on the 50-yard line. 1st and 10 for Dane Christ. Handed it off inside to Armando Allen. And he's ahead for nearly 5. Allen's been their leading rusher the last couple of years and is this season as well. T.J. Jones, Theo Riddick, and Michael Floyd, who's the big playmaker, the 3 wide receivers. Rudolph, one of the best tight ends in the country. And a veteran offensive line. The left guard, Chris Stewart, is in law school, the only college football player in the country attending law school this year. A blitz. Christ got it off, complete for a first down to John Goodman. 7-yard gain to the Boston College 38-yard line.
You know, this is a part of Christ's game that's often overlooked and really needs to do more of, and it's the movement part of it. He was able to get out of that, get his eyes downfield. But when he takes off and runs, and when he moves and buys time, that's when this offense is much better.
Saw the numbers earlier, that 1,155 yards, the most for any Notre Dame quarterback in his first 4 starts. And obviously they've had some tremendous quarterbacks over the years. He's passed for 300+ in each of the last 2 games. Against Michigan State and Stanford. Big hole for Allen, and he breaks the tackle inside the 15 and down to the 7-yard line. Leon Gauze saved the touchdown. 30-yard run for Armando Allen, his longest of the season.
I think the biggest thing at the beginning of this play was Christ's ability to get him from one side to the other. He noticed that there was a blitz coming to the left. They picked up the blocking to that right side away from the blitz, and he's off and running.
That's the longest run from scrimmage for Notre Dame this year. 1st and goal Irish at the 7. Facing a good Boston College defense. Christ keeps it, and he will score untouched.
Sean, this is what I was talking about. When this offense is really running, the quarterback is involved in the running game. And Christ, after he got dinged a few games back, that's been put on the shelf. It looks tonight like they dusted it off and are going to use it.
Suffered a concussion in their narrow loss to Michigan. David Ruffer adds the extra point. They took advantage of the short field after the 43-yard kickoff return officially. 5 plays to go, 50 yards, and Chris took it in from 7 yards out.
Watch right here. And the quarterback is watching right here. So he has the short corner. So now you pull it out. You know you can have blocked up top. This is all you have to beat. And he does. Well done. Good read by Chris. And he's in. See the eyes up? That's really well done.
And now, Matt, perhaps a little extra pressure on Chase Reddick before he's ever taken a college snap. His team's behind 7-0. And coming off a blanking last week when they moved the ball pretty effectively up and down the field against Virginia Tech, but hurt themselves with some critical mistakes, several of them by the quarterback Dave Shinsky. The reason why Shinsky got the hook after the game, and they have turned to Reddick. Ruffer will kick off for the Irish. Came onto the football team as a walk-on. Applied to Notre Dame out of high school, Gonzaga and Washington, D.C. Ruffer was not accepted, went to William & Mary for a year, transferred to Notre Dame, had not played football ever, was kicking for his dorm's football team, Siegfried Hall, became a little bit of a campus legend, went to walk-on tryouts and made the Notre Dame squad. DeLeon Gaz chopped down at the 23-yard line. Good coverage by Dan Fox. So here comes Chase Reddick, just turned 19 last Sunday from San Clemente, California. Highly recruited out of San Clemente High School, where he threw 18 touchdown passes last year. Played in the Under Armour All-American High School game, was recruited by USC, UCLA, Tennessee, Arizona State, among others. He's a big-time recruit. They think he has great talent. Hands it off to Montel Harris, who gets a yard. Before he is chopped down by Carlo Calabrese. Boston College on offense. It's been a sputtering attack so far this year. 92nd in the country in total offense. Harris, the main ball carrier. They're very inexperienced at wide receiver. A huge offensive line led by Anthony Costanzo, the left tackle. All-American candidate. First team All-ACC last year. Reddick goes out into motion, and now they're going to go to their version of the Wildcat with Montel Harris taking a direct snap. Flag down. Harris down after about a 2-yard gain. A good job by the Irish. Not fooled by the trickery. And all that moving around brought about an illegal motion penalty. Big East officials.
Illegal motion. Number 7 on the offense. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
Led by Tom Tomzik. Frank Spaziani is the head coach at Boston College in his 2nd season. Led them to a surprising 8-5 year last year. They were picked to finish last in the Atlantic Division of the ACC. Finished 2nd, lost to USC in their bowl game, the Emerald Bowl. Reddick's first pass. Incomplete. Behind Clyde Lee. And it's an ugly 3-and-out for Boston College. Irish have made a change to a 3-4 defense with the new coaching staff. Johnson Williams and Lewis Moore up front. Manti Te'o, the headliner among the 4 linebackers, had 21 tackles last week against Stanford and a solid secondary with Walls and Smith returning starters. Ryan Quigley punts. Fair catch made by John Goodman. And again, good field position for Notre Dame near the 38-yard line. 36-yard punt. Irish already leading 7-0 on a touchdown run by Dane Christ. Back in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, tailgate week fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Notre Dame fired with their quick start. Great kickoff return to open the game. Short field, went 50 yards in 5 plays. Defense got a 3-and-out, and now here they have excellent field position again. Movement and contact, and flags fly.
Offside. 92 defense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's Dylan Quinn seeing his first action of the year. He had been suspended for the first 3 games for a violation of team rules. He's in tonight for Caleb Ramsey, who's suspended tonight for a violation of team rules. That was just announced today by Coach Spaziani. Sierre Wood comes in at running back, takes the pitch, and gets the first down to the 50-yard line. Let's check in now with Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, here's just a taste of what's going on the ESPN family of networks. Penn State trailing Iowa 3-0. Nittany Lions haven't won in Iowa City since 1999. Stanford and Oregon on the standard definition portion of ESPN2. Oregon leading 3-0. And Georgia Tech and Wake Forest. Demon Deacons up 10-3 on ESPNU late first half. Sean.
All right, Robert, thank you. Some great games tonight. Christ almost intercepted, threw it behind Kyle Rudolph, the outstanding tight end. And Chris Fox had a shot at it for the Boston College defense.
Well, that's safety Wes Davis. He draws a bead on this thing right there. See, he read it the whole way. So he takes a shot, as does Fox. Misfires on Rudolph.
Wes Davis, veteran in that secondary, his 27th career start, now a senior. 2nd and 10 from the 50-yard line. Christ. Incomplete. A little short of John Goodman. But Mark Hertzlick, the linebacker, in coverage. Notre Dame coached by Brian Kelly in his first year as head coach of the Fighting Irish. 1-3 to start after a great run. 3 years at Cincinnati, where he won 2 Big East championships. 3 years at Central Michigan prior to that, where he turned that program around. Of course, 13 years at Grand Valley State, where he won 2 Division II national titles. The Eagles rush 5. They didn't get there, and the pass to Robert Hughes.
Incomplete, but wide open, Sean. Wide open. They went with a zone blitz. They rushed 5, dropped somebody from the inside out, and had Chris been more accurate, Hughes might still be running.
We talked to Brian Kelly, said the development of the quarterback is still one of the top priorities. And ideally in his system too, they'd like more playmakers on the perimeter, guys they could throw bubble screens to, that sort of thing. Bobby Swigert back deep for the punt from Ben Turk. Swigert, the freshman, let it roll, and it'll go down to the 17-yard line. 33-yard punt by Turk, who's been inconsistent so far this year. As a matter of fact, Coach Kelly used a golf analogy, said he's shooting over par right now for the season.
And for those of you who understand golf, that's a bad thing, I suppose.
Bad thing.
It's a bad thing, yeah. Best thing about golf for me is the 19th hole, and I don't even drink.
So here's Rettig. His first series as a college quarterback was a 3-and-out. And they're waiting for Montel Harris. Notre Dame did a great job against Harris last year. They held him to 38 yards rushing on 22 carries. Montel had 8 100-yard rushing games last season, but not against the Irish.
Well, against Boston College tonight, the Cards are a little stacked against this offense, particularly this offensive line. They're going to have to play very, very well. They're going to have to protect Rettig, number one, but everybody in the building knows the best way to do that is to run the football. So they're stacking the deck up front. Comes the safety, walked in again. Right here.
They have a lot of defenders up near that line of scrimmage. Trying to put heat on Rettig, and that pass incomplete. Throwing off his back foot and missed Clyde Lee. Gary Gray had the coverage for Notre Dame.
But it should have been a completion. But Sean, here's the thing. You know, as you break down this Boston College team, this is not a fast group of receivers. In fact, it might be the slowest group of receivers I've seen. And so, you know, Notre Dame, they'll take some chances. They'll walk up. They'll go to bump coverage. And they'll force you to have to try to do something other than speed. See how they're walked up right now. They're walked up on the outside. This is smart football. It forces the quarterback to have to be accurate.
Rettig given good time by the line, threw it too high for Moma.
That's a perfect example right there. You see how he's walked up on MoMA on the outside, and what this does, it will create a smaller window. Now MoMA is not going to run away. They know that. And so the ball is going to have to be right where, it has to almost be perfect.
They are big targets. Fonnie MoMA and Jonathan Coleman both 6'4 plus. Ryan Quigley punts for the second time. BC's run 6 plays and has 5 yards. Fair catch by John Goodman at the 41-yard line. 40-yard punt. Third possession, third time good field position for the Irish.
Saturday Night Football on ABC. Presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The German-engineered sport-injected 2011 Buick Regal. And Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
And welcome back to the campus of Boston College. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Sean McDonough with Matt Millen and Heather Cox. Our producer Bo Garrett, our director Mike Roy, our terrific crew. We're happy to be here. We're happy not to be seated behind that guy. Great field position for Notre Dame, leading 7-0 from their own 41. Christ after a good fake, throwing deep, single coverage, and it's incomplete, but there's a flag down. Michael Floyd caught it. Gauze had the coverage. I think his complaint's going to be it wasn't catchable in bounds, and that was clearly the case because Floyd was out of bounds when he went to catch it.
Not a good route by Michael Floyd.
Defensive pass interference. Number 9, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, the reason it's not a good route is you want to give your quarterback some room on that sideline to throw the football. And so you want to come down and stay on that top shoulder. You want to force the corner's shoulder to the top side. I don't really see that right here.
Apparently this is the penalty, a little hand fight between the two of them. And it looks to me like the ball was way out of bounds. 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. From the 44, on the delay, Armando Allen got stood up by Luke Kuechly, the sophomore middle linebacker out of Cincinnati. He was the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year last year, and he's 5th in the country this year in tackles, more than 12 per game.
Yeah, he's picked up where he was a year ago. And the good news for Boston College, this offense, it tries to create a lot of space and make you defend space. Kuechly can do that. He's adept in the box and also out in space.
Christ out of the gun on second down. Allen and into Kuechly again, who wrestles him to the ground at the 42-yard line. Kuechly's had 12 straight games of double figures in tackles. That is the longest active streak among defenders in college football.
So what makes him so good? He has an ability to be able to key and diagnose very, very well, and he slips blocks very well. He can be blocked, but he doesn't stay blocked. He gets off them very well and gets into his lane. Very, very good job.
On 3rd and 7, a blitz, and Christ hit as he throws, has his man. First down, Michael Floyd. Beat Gauze in coverage to the 23-yard line. 1st and 10 Irish, 18-yard gain.
Nicely done by Christ, who knows he's going to get hit. He can feel it coming in right here, and the ball's delivered right where it has to be. Herzlich coming from the outside.
Now the quick throw to Theo Riddick, former running back, moved to a slot receiver in Brian Kelly's spread offense. Wrestled across the boundary by Donnie Fletcher. 6-yard gain for Notre Dame, trying to build on a 7-0 lead nearly midway through the first quarter.
That Theo Riddick, that's the guy who can open this offense because he's got some make you miss him. They keep him in the slot. He has good quickness. He can go either way. That's the guy.
Armando Allen taken down by Kasim Edebali, backup defensive end. Appeared to be just short of the first down.
The strength of this Boston College defense really is their linebacking core. And where they're a tad deficient is their interior. Their down linemen, they're not very big, Sean. They have a decent pass rusher in Albright, but they really need somebody to push the pocket and anchor down inside, and that's what they're lacking.
We're going to measure to see if this is a first down.
Short.
By about the length of a football. 87 yards of offense now for Notre Dame and 5 for Boston College. Brian Kelly calls the plays. Third down, less than a yard. Two tight ends into the game. Mike Ragone has joined Rudolph, and Chris will keep it himself, but there is a whistle before the snap.
Notre Dame is charged with their first timeout.
Brian Kelly's calmed down a little bit during that timeout. He was angry with the left guard, Chris Stewart. And Chris Stewart might be the best guy to argue back because, as we mentioned earlier, he is in law school at Notre Dame, taking classes, criminal law, legal research, legal writing, contracts, so he could argue back.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a difference. There are no excuses and no explanations on the football field. Once Kelly says it, that's what you do.
Yes, he's the judge and jury. Dane Christ kept it again for the first down. We asked Dane Christ to describe Brian Kelly. First thing he said is he is a fierce competitor, very energetic, and more than anything else, he wants to win. And Brian Kelly, Boston Irishman, a little bit of an Irish temper. Somehow it missed me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Look out! Christ has it knocked away. Gauze came on the blitz, and they rule it an incomplete pass. They've been coming after Christ with regular blitzes, and that time it paid off for Boston College.
Well, this is poor by Chris, because right here comes the blitzer. And Gauze is in the slot, and there's no awareness of it whatsoever. Now, the arm was coming forward, and so they call it an incomplete pass. Boy, that was close.
It was. Armando Allen the back, 2nd and 10 from the 11-yard line.
Previous play is under further review.
We mentioned it's Big East officials on the field, and when
look at
Notre
Coach
Dame,
Spaziani.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, how is that looking up there?
Whereas Boston College used to be a Big East school, but now it is Notre Dame that regularly uses Big East officials because they're not in a conference for football, but they are in the Big East and other sports. It's
that's
ACC
a fumble, Sean.
replay officials.
Yeah, that ACC official, they're going to call that a fumble because the arm was not coming forward. Gauze hit it right at the top of the throw. Watch this. The arm, run it back a little bit more. Yeah, that arm, see, he's starting to stride. It's still in the back motion. When Gauze hits it, that ball is out. Now, because they whistled it, they will retain possession of it, and they would have anyway.
Yeah, Zach Martin recovered the football, but
After
it should
further
cost
review,
Notre Dame a few
ruling out
yards.
Field stands.
Like I said, it's an incomplete pass.
I agree with you. We asked the replay officials for those 2 minutes of our lives back.
How about it? Yeah, it is. It's good though, Sean, that they do. They go ahead, they look at it,
We're
get
just
it right,
having fun.
move on. Yeah.
They want to take a look at it, make sure that they thought the play was officiated correctly. Swing pass and a lot of room for Armando Allen. Powers down near the 1-yard line. Looks like he might have the first down. Jim Noel made the tackle, a backup safety. And the Irish inside the 2. Might be first and goal. Looks like they might measure again.
Yeah, well, here's the whole key. The pass is the easy thing, but Kyle Rudolph, that's the key. Rudolph makes the play because he blocks Herzlich right out of the screen.
They did not give him the first down. It's 3rd and inches. Notre Dame went quickly. Christ has a man wide open. Touchdown, Kyle Rudolph.
Nice call. Use the play action, suck everybody in. Rudolph just slips out into the top, the end zone, 6 quick. Keep in mind that you'll see everybody bite inside. He's open right away.
There's David Ruffer for the extra point. And he just did get it up before it was blocked by DeLeon Gauze. Kyle Rudolph, 2-yard touchdown reception, his 3rd score of the year. 14-0 Irish. Dane Christ has run for a touchdown, thrown for a score. He was 4 out of 5 on that last scoring drive. And Brian Kelly with a happy homecoming so far. Boston native and the Irish ahead 14-0. Rudolph was heavily recruited by Boston College. Kyle told us the other day that BC was actually his first scholarship offer. Went to their summer camp here before his junior year in high school, but wanted to go to school to college closer to his native Cincinnati. Short kickoff by Ruffer. Gauze out to the 34-yard line. Here's Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, time now for a Taco Bell studio update. The winner of the last 3 Florida-Alabama games has gone on to win the national title. Florida goes for it on 4th and goal. They're intercepted. Trey Burton picked off by Nico Johnson. Tide still lead 3-0. Boise State all over New Mexico State 24-0. That game on ESPN3.com.
And no surprise there. Thank you, Robert. Chase Rettig. Still in his first college completion. He's 0 for 3. The true freshman starting tonight for BC. Good play action pass. Flag down. And again, Harris open. The pass off target. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Holding, 66 offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Rich Lapham, the right tackle, called for the hold. More of the same for these BC fans. They watched their team be shut out last week for the first time in 148 games by Virginia Tech. The Hokies also the last team to shut out Boston College back in 1998. And the offense dreadful here in the first quarter and getting worse. Harris is steamrolled by Carlo Calabrese.
Right now, this Boston College offense is not doing anything well. And so when this stuff happens, when you're out of sync up front, you got guys running through, Calabrese runs through a hole untouched. When you're not, you're not throwing the ball well, it's not crisp. You have to do one thing that you do well. And to me, this Boston College offense, what they do well is they'll line up and just power football. That's what they're going to have to do until they can get calmed down here.
They run 7 plays. They have 2 yards of offense. Rettig given a lot of time that time, and flags are down. Pass incomplete. Had a better chance to be intercepted by Darren Walls. Another flag against BC.
Yeah, they probably declined this one.
Holding, 74 offense, penalties declined, third down.
If I'm Boston College right now, and I'm Gary Tranquil, the offensive coordinator, and I want to get this quarterback, this young quarterback, I just want to give him a safe, easy throw. You might even want to roll him and bring your receivers to him. But you've got to give him something. You can't just let him keep throwing 0 for 4.
Well, they do not have a lot of talent right now at wide receiver. Carlin Lamarne Jr. would have been their best receiver by far, their top returning receiver, but he suffered a preseason knee injury, lost for the year. That was a big blow. 3rd down and 23. They set up a screen, and it doesn't go very far to the 20. Sterling Pfeiffer The backup for Harris lost a yard on that play. There's Ryan Quigley punting for the third time already. Played just 10 minutes. John Goodman standing at his own 37 waiting for the punt on 4th and 24. And now a shank. And it took a great bounce for Quigley. Wow, what a bounce. About 25 yards on the bounce and roll. It winds up as a 52-yard punt. With a win last week in Dover, Jimmy Johnson has zoomed up to second place. He let the field know that his bid for a 5th straight title is alive and kicking. And now he has his sights set on points leader Denny Hamlin. It's the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Kansas tomorrow, 1 Eastern time on ESPN. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown at noon on ESPN2. Johnson now just 35 points behind the Virginia Tech football fan Denny Hamlin. It's the worst starting field position for Notre Dame. Christ out throwing, has Michael Floyd. First down, and he's finally tackled after breaking a tackle at the 42-yard line. That's a gain of 14 on the completion of the junior from St. Paul, Minnesota.
You're going to watch Herzlich coming from the inside out, and they just do a nice job of getting back underneath him. Ball's well thrown. Jones picks up that first down.
T.J. Jones on the reception. Armando Allen slides across to the 46-yard line. 4-yard gain. He's one of those do-it-all guys for Notre Dame. Can catch it out of the backfield. Productive runner. Good on special teams. In the top 10 all-time at Notre Dame in all-purpose yardage. Short throw for T.J. Jones, and he couldn't catch it. Tried to scoop it off the field turf. Donnie Fletcher had the coverage.
You know, Dane Christ, a lot of times when I see his balls die like that, most of the time is to the left side. And most time right-handed quarterbacks don't always make that throw to the left as well as they do to the right. But when he's on, when this kid's on, he can make those throws. His mechanics just have to be right.
5 receivers for Dane Christ on 3rd down and 6, going deep down the field and has a man open. Michael Floyd inside the 20. Dragged down by DeLeon Goss. With help from Wes Davis. 9 first downs already for Notre Dame. That's a 35-yard gain.
Watch Michael Floyd on the top. He stayed inbounds. It looked to me initially that he'd gone out of bounds.
Chris 92 yards passing already. Throws it short, and that time Floyd dropped it. Three minutes to go first quarter. Notre Dame already up 14-0, and they're on the move again.
You know, we talked about the Boston College lack of speed in their receivers. They're not a real fast defense as well. And so they play mostly all zones. And, you know, they're not going to walk up. They're not going to match up man-to-man. And so if you get your protection, there are always holes in zones.
Here comes a blitz again. Chris trying to run through it. Gets knocked down for a loss of a yard back to the 20. The one thing that BC has done consistently over this outstanding stretch of 11 straight bowl appearances is play defense. Bill McGovern is the defensive coordinator, longtime member of this staff. When Frank Spaziani got promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach, McGovern became the coordinator, and they've been in the top 20 in the country in scoring defense each of the last 6 years.
Usually very tough also against the run. Good physical team.
3rd and 11. 5 receivers again for Christ. Another man wide open. Another touchdown. Theo Riddick scores for Notre Dame. Third touchdown of the season for the sophomore from New Jersey, who's really come on the last few weeks. He had 4 catches in their first 2 games combined, 17 catches the last 2 games. And 2 more tonight, and the extra point's good from Ruffer. And it keeps getting rougher for Boston College, 21-0.
You're right. And Theo Riddick makes it rougher in a hurry.
Look at tonight's Southwest Airlines playbook.
Watch Theo. He's just going to get down the sideline. And Wes Davis, he has to cross over on top of this coverage. Just a wheel route down inside. He's going to get down. And the hesitation is what kills him. The hesitation in getting to his coverage beats him, because he's not going to jump on Riddick, man. Just through a foot speed.
He who hesitates is lost.
I've heard that before.
Yes. Riddick has a twin sister. He's Theo. She's Thea. She's probably happy right now, unless there's a big sibling rivalry that would prevent her from being happy for her brother. Converted running back. He's made a very nice transition to receiver.
I like Riddick. I think Riddick, like I said earlier, he has some make you miss. He's got some big plays in him. He's just beginning to be what he's going to become.
So David Ruffer kicks off. Short spinner down to Leon Gause. Has some room in the middle of the field. Another good return. Out to the 33-yard line. Brian Smith made the tackle. Another chance for Chase Rettig. BC offense under the true freshman quarterback's been on the field for only 9 plays. A total of 1 net yard of offense. These are 2 Southern California quarterbacks going head to head here tonight. Dane Christ is from Canoga Park, California. Notre Dame High School in the Los Angeles area. There's a completion and a good move after the catch by Chris Pantelli, the tight end, out to the 40. A gain of 8. Longest play of the night for Boston College. There's Dave Shinsky, the 26-year-old sophomore who was the starting quarterback last year, led them to the 8 wins, and the starter as he won a 3-way battle to be the quarterback this year. They had a rough game last week against Virginia Tech. They felt it was time to make a change.
Well, if you watched the game tape last week, you could see the frustration that the coaches had, because there were guys wide open, and Shinsky never saw him.
The delay to Montel Harris. He got a yard, and still a yard short of the first down. Carlo Calabrese another tackle.
Gary Tranquil, the offensive coordinator for Boston College, on that first play with that rollout. That's good football. So when you want to get a little bit of confidence in your quarterback, you can roll him and then bring the receivers to him, and then you give layers. So there's a guy at 5 yards. There might be another guy coming across at 15, and so you high-low the defenders and you let your quarterback just pick who's open.
Terrific coach Gary Tranquil. Frank Spaziani talked him out of retirement to come back and become the offensive coordinator here. Rettig had trouble with the snap, and Harris trying to push for the first down that they desperately need. And it looks like with that surge they got the first down, their first of the night.
They've got to be able to generate some kind of consistency. And like I said earlier, Sean, the most consistent part of this offense is that offensive line, so use it.
Mock cheer went up from the partisans here. We are in the Northeast. It can be kind of a tough room when things aren't going well. Harris the lone back, 2 tight ends in for Boston College. Rettig after the play action pass has a man wide open. Off to the races, Bobby Swigert. Touchdown, Boston College, 58 yards.
Swigert did a great job on a double move. One way to beat speed, if you get somebody biting or hesitating, give them that double move. Once they bite, it's gone. And that's exactly what happened with Swigert. Well thrown ball, and they're on the board.
He's a true freshman. Not particularly big, but Gary Tranquil said he's one of those guys. Keep putting him in there, he keeps making plays.
He made another one.
His second career touchdown, just his 6th catch as a college football player. Nate Freeze the extra point. And BC trying to start the walk back into the ball game. Chase Redding, his first career touchdown pass, and a long one, 58 yards to fellow true freshman Bobby Swigert, native of Ohio.
Yeah, watch Swigert down below, and he's going to use the defender's speed against himself. Get to the top side. Now he's going to hesitate, and he'll stop. And then right there, and then it's over. Just that little bit of hesitation. Get his eyes to move, or you think you can make a play, or he's going to make a break on something. Bang, right there. It's over.
Gary Gray, the defender. And Redding has a moment he'll likely never forget. His first career touchdown pass in college football. Quarterbacks weren't told till yesterday who the starter would be. They knew it would be either Redding or Mike Marskovetra, who was the other backup to Shinsky for the first 3 games. Swigert was a quarterback last year in high school in Ohio. Played receiver in high school prior to that. Freeze, a line drive kickoff. Bennett Jackson returning the kickoff. There is a flag down. BC might have been offside. Jackson out of bounds near the 35. So Brian Kelly getting more than he has previously out of the kick return game.
Offside. Number 26 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Dominic LeGrand was offside. Here's Heather Cox.
Sean, during that last possession, defensive coordinator Bill McGovern was preaching to his defense. He looked each of them in the eye, said, keep your focus, keep believing, and stay with me. Let's tighten things up. Then he got down to X's and O's. Matt, something to watch for. He said they're snapping at 8 seconds and using a double count. Guys, then he just finished with relax. We are all right. Time will tell here, guys.
Bill McGovern with a lot of experience. And a long way to go in this game tonight. But Notre Dame's been marching up and down the field. Sierre Wood got belted down, but got 6 yards. That brings us to the end of the first quarter. Notre Dame leading 21-7. We check in with Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, number 1 Alabama, number 7 Florida. Mark Ingram, Heisman Trophy winner, goes in from 6 yards out. These two teams have won a combined 33 straight conference games, but the Crimson Tide lead 10-0. Meantime, Stanford leading number 4 Oregon 21-10. The Ducks have just scored to get closer, but they're still down at home. Second quarter action continues after this, and a word from our ABC stations.
Welcome back to Boston College. Notre Dame leading 21-7 as we go to the second quarter. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Heather Cox. Happy to have you with us. 2nd and 4 for the Irish. Christ was pressured, dumped it off for Sierre Wood. He lost the football, and Luke Kuechly has it for Boston College.
You heard Heather say, hey, don't panic, stay with me. Bill McGovern, the defensive coordinator, just got what he ordered. And staying with him and being patient is just this right here. Play your scheme and then break on the ball. Get to the football. Well done. Ball comes out. Kuechly, like usual, around it. Big turnover for the Boston College Eagles.
Max Holloway knocked it out. He's the son of Brian Holloway, the former New England Patriot and Raider.
An old teammate of mine.
Outstanding lineman. And Max's grandfather's Johnny McKenzie, maternal grandfather, who played 19 years in the NHL and won 2 Stanley Cups with the Boston Bruins. He's got a lot of athletic genes in his family. Montel Harris, and Notre Dame was ready for that. They stuff him at the 50-yard line for about a 4-yard loss. Robert Blanton and Manti Te'o. And let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. First quarter stats dominated by Notre Dame. 58 of those 69 yards for Boston College came on their long touchdown pass.
And you know, Sean, I think the point that has to be made is Gary Tranquill, the offensive coordinator for Boston College, is just figuring out what he has. That's one piece. And then the other piece is Dane Christ is giving Notre Dame something that they've wanted. They do have an up-tempo, and the ball's coming out a lot better tonight.
Boston College is charged with their first timeout.
We're back on the campus of Boston College. Tailgate week fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, part of Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. Notre Dame led 21-0. Boston College a long touchdown pass to get the crowd back into it, and then the defense with a takeaway, trying to keep momentum on their side as Chase Rettig in the offense has 2nd and 15 from midfield. He's hit on his last 4, but 2 of them have been for losses, including the last play. Throws a slant on the money. Jonathan Coleman about 3 yards short of a first down, with Gary Gray and Harrison Smith combining on the tackle. 12-yard gain.
And that's a good job by Rettig right there. He came out, eyes were up, recognized what it was. He saw that it was a zone, knew exactly where he wanted to go, and the ball come out to Coleman for the big completion. Watch the eyes come up right away. Knows where he wants to go with it. That's a good pre-snap read.
3rd down and 3. Could be 4-down territory for Boston College. Rettig stumbles, but he might have the first down. He does. They're going to give him yardage across the 35-yard line. And a first down for the Eagles. Ethan Johnson on the stop for Notre Dame.
Yeah, and that time, Sean, same thing. What he did, nice quick decision. He saw the coverage, knew he had the blitz to the outside. You get your lane and hit it right away. That's good job. We're getting a little bit of growing up right here.
Rettig with good size. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. Frank Spaziani says he's been preparing for this since he was in the 6th grade. One of those youngsters went to a lot of passing camps in Southern California. Montel Harris ahead for 1 yard. Here's Heather Cox.
Well, you know, Sean, BC players admitted to me yesterday being shocked that the quarterback change was made so early in the season, but they also told me that Chase Rettig is confident and has a commanding presence in the huddle. And, you know, it's also a presence that I've noticed down here on the sideline. He's not at all timid. He's confident without being cocky. Very vocal with his offensive linemen, guys, looking like all business on the field right now.
That's
Gary
important.
Tranquill said he has a great nervous system. They didn't think he'd lose his poise in this setting. 2nd and 9. Steps up. He's across the line of scrimmage and twists ahead for 2 yards.
You know what Heather was just talking about there, and he comes up limping just a tad. But there's something about presence and your command in the huddle and the ability to have guys believe you. That's a big deal. That's a real big deal.
Montel Harris said that yesterday when we spoke with him. You asked him what's Rettig like in the huddle. He's very vocal, very much in command. And Montel said, I really like the way he keeps his eyes focused down the field, even when there are rushers right in his face.
Yeah, and we're seeing that here. He's going to have to get his eyes up pretty quick here.
Entire defense up near that line of scrimmage for Notre Dame. And they bring the heat, and Rettig gets it off, but it's too high for Chris Pantelli, the tight end. And now Frank Spaziani has a decision to make. Around the 32-yard line. Be a long field goal, but Freeze has the leg.
You're going to see pressure coming in from the outside. I couldn't quite see the number. Like Steve Filler. And that's another thing about keeping your eyes up. Now, you hear that term a lot. A lot of times it's under pressure. You're looking downfield at the coverage. and other times it's awareness of where guys are coming from.
Freese's only miss was from 47 yards last week. But Spaziani says he regularly makes from this distance in practice. And he hit that one well, and it is good. Greg Spaziani last week said to Freese, you boom them in practice, I send you out there for a 47-yarder, and you miss. You're making me look bad. Well, he made the coach look good with this decision. With that kick, it's 21-10.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Responsibility. What's your policy? And Kingsford Charcoal, proud sponsor of Tailgate Week.
And they know how to tailgate on this Boston College campus. Meanwhile, they're looking at the left leg of Chase Redding. Field goal has Boston College within 11 points now, 11.5 to go till halftime. Redding and the Eagles got off to a tough start. 1 net yard their first 3 possessions, but they scored 10 points in their last 2 times with the ball and have gained 82 yards. So Nate Freese, after the longest field goal of his career, will kick off. Bennett Jackson and Theo Riddick back deep. And it's the freshman Jackson who caught it at the 10. He got clotheslined to the 25-yard line and then driven back. Wes Davis brought him to a sudden stop. Here's Heather Cox.
I can confirm that the medical staff is looking at Chase Redding's left ankle. Redding extremely frustrated, very vocal with the frustration at the injury. I will keep you posted, let you know as soon as they finish assessing the injury. But one thing to keep in mind, I did ask yesterday if they need to make a change at quarterback, who would be number 2, and it's the sophomore Mike Marskevitra who would go ahead Dave Shinsky if Chase Reddick can't return.
He got that left ankle twisted under him, and obviously he's had a left knee issue in the past with that bulky brace. Here's Dane Christ. And with the momentum perhaps starting to tilt toward Boston College, Armando Allen weaves ahead for 5. We weave back to our Times Square studio in New York. Here's Robert.
Sean, we'd like to welcome those of you who've been watching Alabama and Florida. The Tide score again. Direct snap to the receiver, Marquise Mays. He hooks up with Michael Williams. Alabama rolling 24-0. Meantime, Iowa leading number 22 Penn State on ESPN and ESPN3.com 17-0.
Iowa's had Penn State's number in recent years. Christ, long throw, and it's a little short of John Goodman.
Another one of those balls that dies when he throws over to his left. As you can see, Marskevitra is taking some snaps like he's going to get the reps. But I'll guarantee if Reddick thinks he can go, he's going. He's got something to him.
Well, Heather Cox tells us that they might take Reddick in for x-rays, so it looked like he was grabbing his helmet. Don't know if that's to go back into the game.
Just watching him down here now.
The locker room. He's not going to the locker room right now, but he has the helmet on. He's limping on the sideline. Here's Christ. Zings one. The receiver, Floyd, didn't see it coming. 3 and out for Notre Dame. And this crowd is now fully engaged in the proceedings.
Yeah, it looks like there may have been a side adjust there, and it never happened. This nice tight coverage. The ball comes out. And Floyd, he's running a 9 route straight down the field.
Here's Ben Turk to punt. Short, wobbly spiral. Bobby Swigert did a good job to catch that. That had an awkward spin, and it was short. He had to catch it on the run. And it'll be the 37-yard line to begin, and it looks like it will be Mike Marskevitra, sophomore from Oakland, New Jersey, who's played a couple of times this season in relief of Dave Shinsky. Gary Tranquil said they made the decision to go with Reddick instead of Marska-Vetra because Marska-Vetra doesn't practice very well. He said he's one of these guys who tends to be better in the games, but they'd like to see more of it in practice. Well, he almost missed the handoff with Montel Harris, who did well to turn that into a 2-yard gain. Kerry Neal made the tackle for Notre Dame.
One thing coaches always like, they want to know exactly what you're going to do. No mistakes, something they can count on. And if they're watching you all week and you're not performing like they want you to perform, and you're a gamer type, those are hard guys to trust.
Marska-Vetra's thrown 13 passes this year. Completed 8 of them for Gary Tranquil. He's going to throw here, and it's incomplete. Thrown into coverage, looking for Chris Pantelli, the tight end. And unlike Rettig, Marska-Vetra was not a top prospect out of high school from a small high school in New Jersey, who's worked his way into the picture here at Boston College.
Well, regardless of who's throwing the football, they still have the problem of lack of speed. And so there are some things that you can be able to do that, the least of which is motion and some kind of stack formations that causes the defense to back off.
Marska-Vetra is a pretty good runner. They're trying to set up a screen, and finally it emerges from Montel Harris. And he spins, but he's a yard short of the first down at the 46. Manti Te'o made the tackle. And Frank Spaziani will have a decision to make.
Oh, you got to kick it here.
And he sends the punter out. On his side of midfield at his own 46. Ryan Quigley. Will kick it away to John Goodman, who's standing inside the 10. Fair catch made by Goodman at the 16-yard line. 38-yard punt. Here's a look at tonight's Aflac trivia question. Cue the duck. Which two head coaches had an undefeated season at another school the year before they took the Notre Dame job?
Kind of a trick question.
Yes, it is. I think I know why you're saying that.
I stepped up to the plate, swing and a miss.
So here comes Christ after the great start. The Irish offense has cooled off. Still leading 21-10. 9 minutes to go in the half. Armando Allen couldn't break the tackle at the line of scrimmage. Brad Newman made the stop for Boston College.
You know, just watching this Boston College defense, and you see the guys running around, but the guy who still jumps out is Mark Herzlich. And Herzlich is not back to where he had been 2 years ago. But you could see, man, the spirit is willing, and he's getting after it.
Christ is in trouble. There's a flag down. He's down back at the 10-yard line. Alex Albright on the sack. And it's going to be a holding call that will be turned down.
Holding. 59 offense. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Big Stewart on the inside, and Albright gets himself a sack. Man, we had a nice chance to talk to him yesterday. I said, hey, you got to get one tomorrow. He said, don't worry, I'll get you one. He kept his word.
Armando Allen fumble. Recovered by Boston College. Dominic LeGrand brought it back inside the 15-yard line.
Bill McGovern told them, just do your job, stay with me, and they're doing their jobs, and the ball's bouncing their way right now. Good discipline there. They get a hand in. and they're off and running, and they have another. This is the second time in a row now, Sean, where they have an opportunity with a short field to put points on the board.
Jared Rudolph knocked it out, a backup defensive tackle. Montel Harris goes down to the 10-yard line. Notre Dame, second lost fumble in their last 3 series. They enter tonight -3 in turnover margin for the season. It's been a problem. Marskavetra still the quarterback. Reddick has not returned after injuring his ankle. Second series for Marskavetra. Carlo Calabrese closed up the hole. Looked like a decent sized hole when Harris made his way through it, but he got just 2. And a big third down upcoming here. There'll be a big difference here, Matt, between a field goal attempt and a touchdown.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a place right here. If Boston College is going to think they have any chance, they've got to put 6 points on the board. This is a huge opportunity for them.
They've been woeful on third downs this season, among the worst in college football. Marskavetra under duress throws it up for grabs. They want a flag on for Harrison, the flat. Robert Blanton had the coverage. Ball was over the head of Harris, and no flag and an incompletion.
Well, the incompletion is because of the pressure, and they get it up the field right away. Really done well by Mata. The ball comes out high because of the pressure, and no, there shouldn't be a flag. That's a good non-call.
Well, great job by the Notre Dame defense to force the field goal try. If Freeze can make this, it would make it a 1-score game. He'd get Boston College within 8. 25-yard try from the left hash mark. "13 unanswered points by the Eagles. Just under 7 to go in the first half. 21-13 Notre Dame. On the right of your screen is Steve Bushy, the terrific trainer here at Boston College. He has been working feverishly on the ankle of Chase Reddick, trying to get the true freshman back into the ball game. Boston College back in the game with some help from Notre Dame, a couple of turnovers. And it's a 1-score game, 21-13 as BC kicks off. Nate Freeze will do it after his second field goal of the night. Bennett Jackson and Theo Riddick back deep. Bennett Jackson caught it on the run at the 15. And he's upended. And a late flag thrown at the 39-yard line. Don't know if it's for a late hit, but it was thrown right where Jackson was tackled.
If that's a late hit, that's a bad call. In my humble opinion.
Dead ball. Personal foul. 26 on the kicking team. Targeting with the helmet. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, it wasn't for being late. It's for targeting with the helmet against Dominic Legrand. Their silence speaks volumes.
You're telling me. I don't know what our game's turning into.
That was right in front of the Boston College sideline. That's a huge call. 15-yard walk-off. It's Notre Dame into BC field position at the 46-yard line. Brian Kelly's team hasn't had a first down in this quarter after they had 10 in the first quarter. Christ slips it off for Armando Allen. Nice move into the secondary and down at the 23-yard line. Mark Hertzlick made the tackle.
Just a shovel pass. Well done by Christ to draw them towards him, and then he just flicks it back underneath. And then it's assignment football for the Notre Dame offensive line. Everybody on their man. Get him in the open field.
Yeah, that line did a great job of blocking downfield for Allen. Christ faked it to Allen. Throws short. Caught by Floyd, who cost himself some yardage as momentum took him back almost to the original line of scrimmage. Here's Robert Flores in our Times Square studio.
All right, Sean, like Boston College, Oregon was down big at home, 21-3 to Stanford. But here come the Ducks. They've scored 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. This one, Darren Thomas to Josh Huff, and they've cut the lead to 28-24. Washington down 1 to USC, 21-20.
All right, Robert, thank you. Here it's 21-13, but Notre Dame looking to add to the lead. They led 21-0. BC scored 13 in a row. Christ in the seam, incomplete over the head of Kyle Rudolph, the tight end who's been battling a hamstring injury. His right hamstring bothered him since July. About 75% he estimates right now. Meanwhile, they're going to take Reddick in for x-rays now. They talked about doing it earlier.
Sean, remember a week ago against Stanford, Notre Dame, and Chris in particular, had a tough time when they dropped 8 guys in coverage. And so they didn't really know where to go with the ball a lot. And they're giving him a lot of zone down here as well.
He was given plenty of time. He's looking for Rudolph, who was cast as the defender there. As Gauze had better position. I'd say Gauze stuck to Rudolph there. Or then again, you don't have to say that.
Well, this is well done here in terms of zone. So Gauze does a nice job of staying on top of it. And makes the receiver, Rudolph, have to go through him.
So now a field goal try for Ruffer, who has not missed one in his career. He's 12 for 12 as a college place kicker in field goals. 37-yard try. And he is still perfect. Out of the Inter-Hall League on the Notre Dame campus, onto the varsity, and 13 for 13 now. Back to an 11-point lead for the Irish. And now the answer to tonight's trivia question. We wanted to know which 2 head coaches had an undefeated record at another school the year before they became the head coach at Notre Dame. And the answer is Brian Kelly. You might be saying, wait a minute, Cincinnati lost the bowl game last year, but Brian Kelly, that didn't count on his record. He had already gone on to Notre Dame. Led them to a perfect 12-0 regular season and a Big East championship. And Frank Leahy, who had 2 great seasons here at Boston College and then went on to South Bend. In fact, there are 2 trophies that go to the winner of this game. It's that much of a rivalry. One of them is named in honor of Frank Leahy. The other is the Ireland Trophy. David Ruffer kicks off. Notre Dame leading by 11. To Leon Gauze. Taken down at the 28-yard line by Brian Smith. Well, during the last break, Dave Shinsky put his helmet on and was doing some stretching, but it is Mike Marskavetra again. Shinsky does have his helmet on. He was the starter the first 3 games of the year. Montel Harris, been a struggle all night for Montel to find some running room. Kerry Neal wrapped him up. Veteran senior linebacker making his 26th career start tonight.
Well, you know, Bob Diaco is the defensive coordinator for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and they play the old New York Giant kind of 2-gap 34 scheme. And the key to that, you have to have a good nose tackle, and Ian Williams is a guy who's a steady guy, and then you have to have a good strong side backer. And that Manti Te'o, who's making the tackle right now, that kid has a chance to be a stud.
National High School Player of the Year a couple of years ago, coming out of the state of Hawaii, 2 times the State High School Player of the Year. Big time recruit. And he thought he was going to USC. He thought he was going there. He said he prayed about it one night. Just felt like he was led to come to Notre Dame, and he has enjoyed his experience in South Bend.
He's not a finished product yet, Sean, but he has all the tools you need to be a great one.
3rd and 2. Marskavetra throws, and it wasn't close. In the general direction of Chris Pantelli, with Carlo Calabrese in coverage.
Which would have been the smart thing to do. They had Calabrese out on the tight end. You get him in an area where he's not normally suited to playing out in space, but Ball's got to be on him.
Boston College 2 for 9 on 3rd down now. John Goodman waiting for the punt from Ryan Quigley. His 5th punt of the night is handled by Goodman. Well, we mentioned it's a homecoming for Brian Kelly, head coach at Notre Dame, born just outside the city of Boston, never raised in Chelsea. Went to high school at St. John's Prep, terrific athletic programs north of Boston. Went to college at Assumption, where he was a linebacker, 2-time captain. Started his coaching career at Assumption, coaching linebackers and also the women's softball team. Pass intended for T.J. Jones. Grew up in a political family. His dad, Paul, longtime alderman. There are the Kellys here tonight. Mrs. Kelly, Regina. They're now retired on Cape Cod, but they get out to South Bend for all the home games. We asked Brian Kelly the other day, did you ever have the moment when it sunk in after all those years at Assumption and Grand Valley State, paying your dues, when it hit you that you were the head coach at Notre Dame, the fabled college football program? Armando Allen turning the corner. And he said, no, not really. But Mr. Kelly Sr. talked about opening game against Purdue, Notre Dame Stadium, a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Kelly made his way into the tunnel, trying to get his son's attention right as the team was going to take the field. He hollered at Brian. They made eye contact and both got choked up in the tunnel before Brian led the Irish onto the field for the first time. What a special father-son moment that must have been. 3rd down. Christ is in trouble. Happy to just get rid of it. Now, this Boston College defense, on its heels early, is starting to dictate to the Notre Dame offense now.
Yeah, Kuechly was in there, and Alex Albright had more pressure again, and they got him on the run and is able to force it. They've got to do something offensively if they, obviously to get back into the game.
I would put Shinsky back in the game. He's the most experienced guy. I know he makes mistakes, but they won 8 games with him last year. He also makes plays. Turk, a good punt this time. And a fair catch made by Bobby Swigert at the 29-yard line. There will be Marska-Vetra again.
Well, Notre Dame fans sitting at home are saying, well, what happened to the offense we saw in the first quarter? Where did it go? And the answer to that question is the adjustment that the Boston College defense has done, because now they've kind of settled down. They're starting to get pressure. They're keeping everything in front of them. They're not giving up anything down the field, and they're making tackles, and they had a couple turnovers.
Marska-Vetra with time and then throws, and it is caught on the far sideline by Clyde Lee, sophomore out of Missouri City, Texas, with Zeke Mata in close coverage. 20-yard completion and a 1st down for BC.
And the coverage is right there, and it's almost a back shoulder type of throw because it's kind of behind him. You see it right there. But it's well thrown right in between 2 defenders.
Marska-Vetra now 2 for 5. Oh, he stumbles and did well to hang on to the football. I don't know if they missed the handoff or there was going to be a play action pass. But as you would say, the turf monster got him.
Yeah, it may have been that they got themselves a good push up inside by Ian Williams. That's exactly what it was. There's Williams right there getting a big push, and it causes the stumble.
Time a factor now. 2:20 left in the half. 2 timeouts for both teams. Marska-Vetra has him in. Afani Moma with a 1st down to the Notre Dame 39-yard line. Harrison Smith there for the Irish.
This is
17-yard game, but it might be coming back. Flag in the backfield.
That was power receiving. He just looked like he ran over Gary Gray on the outside and got to the inside.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. 69 on the offense. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Mark Spinney, the right guard, new starter, took over last week for Thomas Claiborne, who was an all-ACC player last year, but is a backup right now. And that's a big penalty against Spinney. BC's now been penalized 6 times. And Notre Dame has not been penalized. And I can hear the conspiracy theorists in this BC crowd. These are Big East officials. Boston College left the Big East in a rather ugly parting of the ways. That is not to suggest anything at all, other than a typical fan reaction. Marska-Vetra dumped it off to Montel Harris. Did well to hang on to it. Manti Te'o made the tackle, the 50-yard line. It was a 1st and 10 prior to that, and they got 4 yards, but the time is a factor now. That penalty pushed them back. That's yardage they might need here to late in the half with only 2 timeouts left. Blitz. Marska-Vetra buried from behind. Robert Blanton back at the 43-yard line.
Yeah, well, you have to have presence. Again, we talked about this earlier. You have to have eyes downfield to also know where people are coming from. You can see Blanton just coming off the edge. He's unaccounted for. You take the inside man, the other one's to the quarterback. He has to be able to see him. Does not on the front end. Result is sack.
Third down and 12. On the draw, Montel Harris. And now Frank Spaziani will have another decision to make. Will he go for it on 4th and 2 with 30 seconds left in the half?
Here I would try it.
Yeah, why not try it? But he's wasting valuable time if he's going to do it. Now they're calling timeout.
Wasted 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's, and it might be that he, with an eye toward not making it, didn't want to leave Notre Dame too much time if they get the ball back near midfield. Coming up at halftime, stay tuned for John Saunders and Jesse Palmer and the Northwestern Mutual halftime report for all the scores and highlights from today's college football action. Well, the crowd's a lot livelier than it was when it was 21-0 Notre Dame. Frank Spaziani's defense finally started to become a factor in the football game. The offense hasn't done very much again. Gary Tranquil said they had to be able to run the ball. Wow, after the timeout, they're going to punt.
Yeah, you don't want to give them a short field, take any chances. They go back in.
Well, then why'd you call timeout?
Well, you had him on the board. We got to use him. Why not?
Second timeout. 30-second timeout.
I think Brian Kelly is alerting his squad to the possibility of a fake here in this field position. And with this down and distance. This week on Monday Night Football, it's a battle between 2 AFC rivals. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots head south to take on Brandon Marshall and the Miami Dolphins. Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern Time. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown starring Matt Millen, served by Applebee's.
Yeah, starring these 2 guys right here, 2 former Michigan quarterbacks. Tom Brady, who we all know what he is, and it looks like he's back to his old form. And Chad Henne he's there. I shouldn't say he's completely there, but he is getting to where he has to be very fast.
They do punt. Goodman just gets away from it. And it'll look nice in the stats as it rolls down to the 4-yard line. And 1 second on the clock. Nick Clancy downed it for the Eagles. Well, it got off to a great start for Brian Kelly. But you have to think now, Matt, he's probably thinking it could have been a little worse. I mean, they did everything they could for a while there to help Boston College get back into the ball game, and it didn't seem like the Eagles fully took advantage. Yeah,
exactly right. So his defense has been playing well this whole first half. Offensively, they started off like a house on fire, and now they've cooled off.
Chris took a knee. That gets us to halftime with Notre Dame. Losers of 7 of their last 8 back to last season. leading by 11. Brian Kelly mad at the officials despite the fact his team has not been penalized once. There was a holding call against Notre Dame that was declined. Here's Heather Cox.
Coach, your quarterback continues to make headlines with Chase Redding getting looked at if he can't come back in the second half. How does your game plan and philosophy change?
Well, no, we're playing our offense, and all the quarterbacks are into the scheme, so we'll have to figure out where we go.
After spotting Notre Dame 21 quick points, what adjustments did your defense make to slow them down?
Well, I think our adjustments made is that they started giving us the ball back, and we picked it up. That's what we did. We have to make some other adjustments here and get off the field a little bit and give our offense a chance.
And what was your thinking behind calling that timeout on the punt just now?
We're just a little bit of confusion over there. We had a play we wanted to run, and then we probably should have got out of the half.
Coach, thanks for your time.
At the half, it's Notre Dame 24, Boston College 13. Coming up, stay tuned for John Saunders, Jesse Palmer, the Northwestern Mutual halftime report right after these messages. Back, everybody, to Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. At the half, Notre Dame leading Boston College 24-13. We welcome you back to Alumni Stadium. Sean McDonough with Matt Millen, rejoined shortly by Heather Cox. It was 21-0 Notre Dame very quickly. It looked like the Irish might run Boston College right out of its own stadium, but the BC defense did a nice job of settling in.
Yeah, and that was the whole key. And so they got a couple turnovers, and they kept everything in front of them. And they forced Notre Dame to have to be patient. They couldn't do it. And so I think in the second half here, what we're going to be looking for is a more patient Notre Dame offense and methodically kind of move the ball and see if the Boston College defense can take those things away from them. And then Boston College has got to do something offensively. They've got to be able to create something with the quarterback in the passing game.
You just wonder, with the personnel that they have, are they capable of doing that? Mike Marskovetric took over at quarterback for the true freshman Chase Redding, who started but injured his ankle shortly after throwing a 58-yard touchdown pass. Notre Dame to kick off to begin the second half. David Ruffer will boot it away to Chris Fox and the Leon Gauze. And it goes out of bounds, so that's a break for Boston College. It gives us a little extra time to take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Forget about it.
A very quick blitz by Notre Dame. 2 touchdown passes by Christ, and he ran for one. But then Redding, his first career touchdown pass to Bobby Swigert, his fellow true freshman, made it 21-7. Redding turned an ankle, then Notre Dame turned it over twice, which led to 2 BC field goals. And you got the sense, Matt, that perhaps BC didn't do enough with those opportunities, particularly the last one when they got the ball inside the 15-yard line. Marskovetra comes out throwing to Clyde Lee, 7 yards. Here's Heather Cox.
Brian Kelly said that things went south for their offense when BC changed their pressure. They started putting a lot of pressure on their no-back packages, really caused a lot of trouble for Dane Christ. He said Christ is at his best when he is confident, but when they started bringing him new looks, he needs time to settle down. Now an update from Boston College's quarterback Chase Redding. He injured that left ankle in the second quarter. He is out, guys, will not return for the remainder of the game.
Marskovetra handed it off to Montel Harris, who still can't find any running room, that time thanks to Manti Te'o.
Te'o came hard in that one on the inside. Good read by him, and you know that's the part of him that when you watch him on tape, he still doesn't quite believe his eyes, and that's normal for a young linebacker. But the parts that you can't teach, his ability to go sideline to sideline, his feel in man-to-man coverage, those are things that he does very well.
His 8 tackles after the 21 last week at home against Stanford. What an impressive Stanford performance that was. Pass incomplete. And there's a flag. It'll be the first penalty of the game against Notre Dame. It was intended for Jonathan Coleman, and Gary Gray is going to be flagged for pass interference.
Pass interference. Number 4 in the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Nice safe throw. Get to the outside. Use body position. It looked, that looks like a pretty good job actually defensively, except he had him hooked on the top side. But those are safe throws, Sean. And for young quarterbacks, that's the type of throw you want to give them. The short out, the Y sticks, the stuff on the inside, and a slant like that.
Play action pass. Marskavetra throwing into double coverage, and it is incomplete. Intended for Coleman. Darren Walls had a good look at an interception.
And that's what a young quarterback is going to have to learn. It was dead from the start. The safety was sitting back there in the hole. You had a corner on the outside. There's nowhere to go with this ball. Dump it off underneath.
Coleman actually broke it up.
Yeah, that's the good job by Coleman, because offensively you got to turn it to a defender so you don't give up the interception.
On 2nd and 10. Marskavetra forced to scramble. Running out of room. Goes out of bounds. There's a flag down. In the offensive backfield, Gary Gray, the corner, chased Marskavetra out.
Holding. 81 offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
You surprised they took the penalty? It was a loss on the play.
Yeah, I would. I'd take the loss and go to 3rd down, but they have confidence in their defense, and mostly the hard thing here watching tonight is you have the young quarterbacks for Boston College, but they're not getting a lot of help out of this receiving corps. And Sean, we talked about it on the top of the game, but they're not a fast group, and they don't really run away from coverage.
2nd and 20. And they're ready for the screen. Another loss on the play. Montel Harris chopped down by Gary Gray. The 39-yard line. BC going in reverse. That's a loss of 3.
Just trying to give him safe throws, trying to give him screens and bubble screens and those short out throws, but eventually you've got to take a shot somehow. And they were able to do it early in the game with the double move down the right sideline for 6. But Gary Tranquil is trying to manufacture space for his receivers.
And 2 for 10 on 3rd down. It's a tough one to improve your percentage. Bobby Swigert well short of the first down. Good open field tackle by Gary Gray, senior from Columbia, South Carolina. And the Notre Dame defense holds, and Boston College will punt from midfield with Ryan Quigley. John Goodman back at the 9-yard line. 7th punt of the night for Quigley, averaging 41 per punt. Gets a great bounce. Can they get down there in time to down it? Yes, they will at the 1-yard line. Wes Davis, the starting safety. 50-yard punt for Quigley. And now Notre Dame goes on offense. It's been an up and down night for Dane Christ.
Well, when he's been on, they've moved him. And you can see he ran it in the first one. Then they have him on the dash, a little roll. And I think when they do that, it expands his vision. He's a guy who likes to stare things down a little bit, and he'll stay to half the field a lot. And so I think when they move him and move the receivers like that, it helps him.
Christ keeps it. Gets about a half yard, and that's all. Christ 12 for 24 in the first half for 142 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 1. He had 10 first downs in that first quarter. Only 1 in the second quarter. This time he's going to throw it, and it's incomplete, and a flag thrown. Fletcher had the coverage. It looked like he was moving up on the ball to pick it off because he knew Christ was throwing behind the receiver Riddick. Riddick was still running up the field. Fletcher was trying to get past Riddick and pick it off, and they ran into each other.
There's no foul on the play for defensive pass interference.
That's a good job by the officials. That's a good job of picking that flag up, because you're exactly right, Sean. Fletcher sees the ball and he makes the break for the ball.
Christ has missed his last 5 pass attempts. Will they throw it again out of their own end zone? Yes. Short drop. Riddick needs to run after the catch, and they pull him down at the 8-yard line. About 2.5 short. Well played again by Donnie Fletcher, the junior cornerback out of Cleveland, Ohio. Played for Ted Ginn Sr. at Glenville High School in Cleveland.
What he did, though, Sean, great awareness, knew where the sticks were, got the appropriate drop, and then made the break. The short tackle in space is what he had to do. He kept it in front of him and got it done.
So Ben Turk will punt. He's the nephew of Matt Turk, the punter for the Houston Texans. Bobby Swigert back for the punt. He came after the kick and didn't get it. It's a very high punt, and Swigert makes a fair catch at the 50-yard line.
Good field position.
Well, Boston College has had a number of chances to get closer.
Yeah, they got to do something with this, because they've had decent field position, and like you pointed out the last series, they went backwards.
You saw Shinsky play last year. You watched a lot of tape of the BC games, the first 3 games. Has he been that bad in your opinion that it warranted the change, or that it warranted not giving him a chance in this situation?
Well, I'm not around him every day, Sean, but apparently the missed coverages, I mean, there's things wide open that he's missed. Flea flicker.
And a deep ball, and a receiver out there, and he couldn't make the catch. Clyde Lee trying to run under it. Looked like a catchable ball with Darren Walls in coverage. Gary Tranquil said, I've been too conservative to this point of the season. I won't be tonight, and they do go into the bag of tricks here.
Yeah, and this is the one, you can't miss this. Here's your opportunity. It's well done, but he never tracked the ball. He needed to track to the hash. Instead, he went straight.
Yeah, he didn't take a good path to the ball. Marskovetra put it out there to let him run under it, and he couldn't find the right way to run under it. 2nd and 10. Now a drop ball by Swigert. And the reality is, you know, by major college football standards, their receiving corps is not good.
Yeah, that's I'd probably have another adjective for it.
And they caught, as we said, a very tough break when Colin Larmont Jr. went down. He is a big-time receiving threat. Rich Ginnell, one of their all-time leading receivers, graduated after last year, as did Clarence Megwa. But they have very little with which to work right now on the perimeter. And Notre Dame's just stuffing Harris in the run. Marskovetra in trouble and sacked back at the 47-yard line.
Now, he wanted to throw, Sean, and he initially had some time for the quick throw, but the coverage they were all over him. Just look up in the top side, Gary Gray all over that coverage. And then underneath, there was better coverage by the backer out in the flat, so there was nowhere to go with the ball. He had to eat it.
And Carlo Calabrese wound up with the sack. Sophomore out of Verona, New Jersey. So Quigley to punt again. And this is another ball off the side of his foot, and this time he doesn't get a charitable bounce. Out of bounds at the 24-yard line. Welcome back to Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines. We're at Alumni Stadium, Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, just outside Boston, on the campus of Boston College. Notre Dame leading 24-13. First and 10 for the Irish at their own 24. Armando Allen pulled down by Mark Hertzlich.
Yeah, just a couple years ago, he was an All-American, and it's been well documented with his bout with cancer, and he's come back off that and has himself a titanium rod, and he is still not where he wants to be. His movement is not quite there yet, but you can see him get better each week.
Wide receiver wide open. Michael Floyd for a first down. Hertzlich had a titanium rod inserted into his left leg, which is where they found the cancer in his femur on November 21st of last year. And he said the most pain he's been through in quite some time is every Thursday when he goes to a local massage therapist who really sticks the thumb deep into his thigh and tries to loosen up all the muscles around that rod, because the muscles have had difficulty firing since he had the rod installed in his leg. Goodman tackled by Donnie Fletcher. There's a young man, when he got diagnosed, they didn't know if he'd beat Ewing sarcoma, rare bone cancer. He's worked very hard to get back on the field. He says mentally feels fine. He doesn't feel like he's favoring the leg or concerned about contact and what might happen if he does get a hard hit right in that thigh.
Yeah, you can see the effort is all there. His movement still is not there. He's still not bending right. He's not fitting right, but he'll get there.
2nd and 8. Dangerous swing pass. No whistles yet, and now they rule it an incomplete forward pass intended for Armando Allen with Brad Newman right there. Hertzlich said it was a flag football game this summer for charity, for Best Buddies, charity that Tom Brady's very actively involved in. He played in the flag football game. He was covering Tully Banta-Cain of the New England Patriots. Went up to catch a pass, came down, landed very hard on his left leg, and when he didn't have any problems, he breathed a sigh of relief and thought, I think I'm going to be okay. He took great advantage of his time away from football to help in the fight against cancer, raising more than $200,000 in a number of fundraisers. 3rd down and 8. And Christ is on the money for a first down. They mark the forward progress for Goodman. He has the 49, and he does.
And that's the last two throws are strong on the money throws to his left. And he struggles a little bit to his left. We saw him throw it in the dirt earlier. This time mechanics are fine. Step and throw, a nice short step, and the ball is right where it has to be.
So a big 3rd down conversion for Christ. He's up to 174 yards passing now. Armando Allen trying to turn the corner, and he does. Finally pulled down by Luke Kuechly at the 41-yard line, but that's 8 on first down for the Irish.
And just a good job of blocking up front by that Notre Dame offensive line. And if they're going to be effective in the run game, they're going to have to get Kuechly blocked. That time he just filters through everything, albeit an 8-yard run. He still tracks it. Kuechly's very active, really good instincts.
Well, he was a safety in high school in Cincinnati. Allen managed to slither through that hole for a first down to the 37-yard line. Kuechly again made the tackle. Well, he's one of those typical Boston College recruits. Some people thought he was a little too small, a little too slow. They saw great instincts, and he was a factor much more quickly than they thought he would be. Thrown into the mix as a true freshman, wound up being one of the leading tacklers in the country. BC comes on a blitz. Allen trying to run through it. It's Kuechly again with the tackle at the 31-yard line.
And that time they brought him on a blitz with the safety behind him. And remember I said earlier in the game and how he gets blocked, but he doesn't stay blocked. And this is one of those instances right there. Now he's blocked right there. Now disengage. You know that how some guys can slip blocks very easily, and he has that ability.
Robert Hughes at a running back now next to Dane Christ. Spaziani calls Kuechly boy wonder. Errant pass again to his left in the direction of Floyd. Kuechly had 158 tackles last year as a freshman, most by a BC defender since 1993. Another product of St. Xavier High School. BC's had a lot of players from Cincinnati. We talked to Alex Albright yesterday. Said at one point there were more starters on their team from Cincinnati than there were from Massachusetts. Another big third down for the Irish. They've had a couple of conversions on this drive. Third and 4, crisp a long count. Bought himself some time and a terrific catch by Theo Riddick, slipping down, caught the ball behind him at the 20. Another third down conversion and a 10-yard gain for the Irish.
That's the guy. This is the guy for me. In this Notre Dame offense, this Theo Riddick, this is a player. This guy he's going to make a lot of plays. Like you said, he has some make you miss in him. He's just learning how to become a receiver, but after the catch and his ability to get open, he has things you can't teach.
Blitz, and they toss it away from the pressure to Robert Hughes. Taken out of bounds at the 15-yard line by Kevin Pierre-Louis, the true freshman outside linebacker. They think he's another emerging talent. They wish they could have redshirted him, but they need him to play as a true freshman out of Hartford.
That kid's going to be a good player too. He's another one. He can run and he finds the football well. Not a real big kid. He'll mature over time.
Impressive drive by Notre Dame, trying to build on an 11-point lead. The quick hitter to Theo Riddick. And first down inside the 10 and down at the 8-yard line.
Sean, this is exactly what Notre Dame needed. They needed to find their rhythm again in their offense. And they've had a couple of nice throws here by Dane Christ, who is left on the money. But then most of the stuff has been underneath, but they're developing a rhythm.
First and goal. Good work by the line again, and the throw is too high for Michael Floyd. Floyd is in the top 10 among all active wide receivers in the country at FBS football. Receptions per game, receiving yards per game, yards per catch, and touchdowns. He's been a big playmaker for Notre Dame,
especially down here in this red zone. And this is where it's tough to make throws. All your angles change. It's a compressed area, and they're dropping 7 into coverage. Now they showed a blitz. This is that double count they were talking about earlier that Heather had spoken about. They do that to get you to try to show what you're going to do on defense, and then he comes back to it.
And they still come with the blitz, and they lob it up for Floyd a little bit too high. There's a flag down in the end zone. Well, Leon Gause had the coverage.
That double cadence aided the quarterback.
Pass interference. Number 9 on the defense. The ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. First down.
So they come up to the line of scrimmage and they give you a cadence, and then what happens is they start to show the blitz. They'll show the blitz over here. See, they show it. This is the second part. That's the second. On the second part, because they showed the blitz, he knows he has man coverage. Then he goes outside to Floyd, where he knows he's man-to-man.
First and goal from the 2. 6 first downs on the drive for Notre Dame. Armando Allen into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Irish. What a drive. 14 plays, 76 yards, nearly 5 minutes off the clock.
And more importantly, they found a rhythm.
Now Rufford pushes the lead to 18. They once led by 21-0. BC made a game of it. And a big touchdown by Allen has Notre Dame comfortably ahead.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Taco Bell, think outside the bun.
Impressive touchdown drive by Notre Dame, capped by Armando Allen. And the Irish leads back up to 18. In recent years, the rivalry has featured low-scoring games, with the Irish at 31 points right now. It's the first time either team in this rivalry has scored 30 or more points against the other since their meeting in 1999, when BC won in South Bend 31-29. It's the 9th game they've gone head-to-head since then. Notre Dame won the defensive battle 20-16 last year in South Bend, ending BC's 6-game winning streak in this rivalry. David Ruffer will kick off. Bobby Swigert, the true freshman for Boston College, picked his way out to the 31-yard line. Danny Spond made the tackle. (31-13). Notre Dame with the lead. Boston College made a game of it, kicked the field goal with 7 minutes left in the second quarter to get within 8. They've had good starting field position since then, but they've punted on 4 straight possessions. And now Notre Dame, after the touchdown, has pushed the lead back to 18. Mike Marskavetra still the quarterback. He gets buried as he throws deep, and it is caught by Jonathan Coleman. Then the ball's out and they rule it incomplete.
Well, you're going to see they're going to get pressure right up the middle, and it come from Carlos Calabrese. The ball is right where it has to be, and it's hit him in a bad spot. Hit him right in the chest.
Coleman from the Bronx. There's Calabrese. I know you like him watching the tape.
Oh, that kid's a tough kid. He's a tough kid, reads well, plays in the inside with instinct.
Coleman's a redshirt freshman receiver, relative newcomer. Good catch over there by Lars Anderson. You know, there's a great program in the Bronx, Matt, called the Better Chance ABC. It gives gifted students like Jonathan Coleman a chance to go to a high school outside of the city. In his case, he went to Radnor, Pennsylvania. Didn't play football until he was a senior in high school. There's a basketball stand-up, but the football coach saw him, said, I think you'd be a good receiver, and he was in his 1-year high school football, wound up with a scholarship here at BC. Lee can't catch it. Coleman came from a very tough upbringing. His family moved 10 times the first 10 years of his life, and for a while they were living as a family off chilled lettuce that was in their sink. So dropping a ball isn't the worst thing that's ever happened to this young man, and you're happy that he's got the opportunity to be here at a great place like Boston College.
And he'll get better, and he'll understand and learn how to play the receiver position. He's a neophyte. The one thing, it would be a hot tip for him, catch the ball. Yeah, that usually helps.
Quigley's 9th punt. Goodman the fair catch at the 31. Here's Robert Flores in New York. We'll get a Sports Center right now update.
Sean, it's going to be a wild day tomorrow on Major League Baseball's final day of the regular season. The Padres beat the Giants 4-2, so they're 1 game back of San Francisco in the West. They've also pulled into a tie in the wild card with Atlanta. And in college football, tight game on ESPN2 between Oregon and Stanford. LaMichael James' second touchdown of the night gives the Ducks a 38-31 lead.
Well, that's a shootout as everybody expected. Armando Allen carries here. And lost yardage on the play back to the 27-yard line. A loss of 5. Dylan Quinn made the tackle. How about the San Diego Padres? I think a lot of people thought they might be the worst team in the National League when the season started. And they've had a terrific year regardless of what happens to them tomorrow.
Yeah, but they're no quit at all whatsoever. No. And you could see it, and you could see it coming. You could see it coming from the middle of the season on.
Theo Riddick. Good tackle by Jim Noel, sophomore from Everett, Massachusetts, where Coach Brian Kelly of Notre Dame was born.
That's a really good tackle. You know, open field tackling, that's a tough thing. And especially coming from his position in the backfield there, you have to have the right angle and take things away by position. He did it very well there.
Found it interesting. Brian Kelly never came to a game here at Boston College growing up, even though he's a sports guy. Football player himself, grew up not far from the stadium. So nope, never came over to Alumni Stadium. This is his first time he's ever been here. He was a Holy Cross fan growing up. And that for a long time was a big rival of BC. Local rivalry. Holy Cross about 45 minutes up the road in Worcester.
You know what I love about him? He gets fired up. He gets fired up. He's not afraid to tell his guys exactly what he thinks and what he wants.
He's an equal opportunity yeller, that's for sure.
Yeah,
he has yelled at just about everybody on that sideline tonight, a few officials.
Yeah, I get a kick out of this. And you know, the best part about it is the players know. The players understand how he is. They know he's fiery, and they know that he's going to give you something, but then that's it. And then you move on.
Which parent do you think he gets that from?
I'm not going to venture a guess.
Well, Brian thought about for a long time following his dad into politics. Worked on Gary Hart's presidential campaign while he was out around Assumption College in Worcester. Thought he might want to make a career in politics. Really agonized over it for a while. He made a great decision because he has had a remarkable career in football coaching and still a young man in his late 40s. Everywhere he's been the head coach, he has won and won big.
And he'll get this thing going. I mean, they're not there, Sean. They're not there yet, and he knows it. And they're still learning this offense, and there's all the intricacies of the offense. And defensively, he's got to get a couple more pieces to the puzzle.
Innovative offensive mind. He went to the spread offense and put his own wrinkles in it after a couple of subpar years at Grand Valley State. Steve Filer, nice coverage of that punt. Dropped Swigert at the 20. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. on ESPN, that's Eastern Time. Join Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Keyshawn Johnson, Mike Ditka, and Chris Carter for Sunday NFL Countdown. They'll bring you all the news, latest updates from stadiums around the league right up until kickoff. Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM tomorrow at 11 a.m. on ESPN. I think all the football pregame shows are good, but I'm proud of ours. I think ours is the best.
Boomer and the boys do a great job.
Montel Harris just hasn't found any running room all night long. Darius Fleming, Calabrese, Teo, the linebackers, all there waiting for him, and that's a 1-yard loss.
You know, Sean, I think if there's one area of this Boston College team that's, for me, has been a disappointment, has been the offensive line. It's a big group. They're not physical. They're not coming off the ball, and to me, that's a disappointment because Boston College has always had big physical offensive lines who can be physical inside.
Some terrific linemen. They've had 24 offensive linemen drafted in the last 28 years, including 5 first-rounders. Tough throw there. Very little chance to get through to Alex Amidon, and it was knocked away by Robert Blanton.
And you can see right there that Blanton just runs with him. I mean, you're not running away from anybody here. And so that just makes tough sledding for the quarterback. You have to be absolutely perfect. Maybe got away with a little bit of a hold. A little bit of a hold there. Said it earlier, Gary Tranquil has to create separation, and that's a tough thing to do.
Look out. Arskavetra sacked. And the ball's out. Well, they're ruling him down. It doesn't matter who recovered it. Prince Shembo, backup linebacker. He's a freshman out of Charlotte in there on the sack. And Boston College is now 2 for 14 on third down and have failed on their last 9 attempts.
Yeah, watch Prince Shembo. He gets right to the top, and then the pass drop, or the offensive lineman's drop, wasn't in sync with the 7-step drop of the quarterback. As he took his kick step, forced him upfield, and just forced him right into the quarterback.
Shembo's a true freshman. Bob Diaco was raving about his talent. They think he's going to be a star. Fair catch made by Goodman on the 10th punt of the night by Ryan Quigley. Well, with his win last week in Dover, Jimmy Johnson's up to 2nd place in the standings. And he has let everybody else know that his bid for that 5th straight title is very much alive. He's zeroing in now on the points leader, Denny Hamlin, and the chase continues at Kansas tomorrow. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. Start your day with the coverage of NASCAR Countdown on ESPN 2. Johnson led almost half that race last week. Hamlin finished 9th.
Yeah, and you can always count in this chase. You can always count on Jimmy Johnson. And at the end, he's going to be there. It's
Not
amazing.
Johnson, who got voted off Survivor.
He got bounced.
The other night.
Yeah.
His chase is no longer active. Here's a double pass. They threw a lateral to John Goodman, a former high school quarterback, and then he threw it a little bit too long for Theo Riddick.
It's a backward pass first, and then Riddick just slips him. He's wide open. He just misses him. Now, you know, with the genesis of that, you know, they're throwing the ball in the air, and then they go, Goodman, can you throw that ball? Yeah, I used to be a quarterback in high school. And they go, you know, we're going to put this play in. Can you make the? I can make the throw, coach, guaranteed. I guarantee that's what happened.
Brian Kelly wanted to go into the bag of tricks a little bit for his many friends and relatives. Allen tackled by Newman. Brian said one of the hardest things this week was dealing with the 100 or so ticket requests from family members and friends in the Boston area who wanted to come cheer on the Irish tonight. So luckily I have good staff people who can take care of those kinds of things for me. But this is tough because it's a small stadium. It's an on-campus stadium, only 44,000, and the Notre Dame game is always a big draw. Braxton Cave, the center, is injured. And right up the road from Notre Dame, Mishawaka.
God bless you.
I knew you were going to say that. There's Mike Golick Jr., who's the backup center. Son of our friend and colleague, Mike Golick of Mike and Mike in the Morning, himself a former standout player at Notre Dame. And while we have a moment, let's check in with Heather.
Well, you guys were talking about how animated Brian Kelly is before the offense just took the field. He was in the face of his offensive linemen, frustrated about the way they're protecting the right side. And now if the center goes out and Mike Golick goes in, who was actually just practicing the snaps with one of the kickers' footballs to get it down with Dane Christ, we'll see if that protection improves here after Brian Kelly got in their face a little bit.
Mike Sr. is here tonight to watch his sons. He has two boys on the team, Mike Jr. and Jake, who's a tight end. And that brings us to the end of the third quarter. The only scoring in that quarter, a touchdown by Notre Dame. 31-13 after 3. Let's check in with Robert Flores in our Times Square studio in New York.
All right, Sean, time now for an AT&T All-America Player of the Week update. Indiana's Ben Chappell. It's 480 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a losing effort to Michigan. The Hoosiers lost 42-35. But Chappell set school records in attempts, completions, and passing yards. To take part, vote. Text VOTE to 345-345 for a chance at a trip to the national championship. We've got the fourth quarter from Boston College right after this.
Back to Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Heather Cox at Alumni Stadium on the campus of Boston College. Temperature down to 50 degrees. Definitely feels like fall. A lot of movement. And finally a flag thrown. BC line moved. Then the right tackle for Notre Dame, Andrew Nuss, who's a backup.
Offside. 47 on the defense. Caused the tackle to move. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Brad Newman called for the offside. Here's a look inside the control room here at Boston College. They run some of the scoreboards and PA system. One of the fascinating features of this football stadium, it connects to the Boston College hockey and basketball arena, the Connie Forum. That booth and many of the luxury suites. When you buy a suite here along this side of the stadium that we're on, you can look in either direction. You can have the same box for the football season and the hockey and basketball season. Of course, they've had a number of national champion hockey teams here under Jerry York the last few years. That's a pretty nice feature.
That's a beautiful, this is a great facility. A great facility all the way around. And they've expanded it since, obviously, since.
Yeah. Well, that arena next door, a lot of people called it the house that Doug Flutie built because some of the money that they made back when Doug was here was used to build the Connie Forum. Just basically right behind that side of the stadium at which you're looking. Ben Turk on the punt. And the fair catch made by Swigert. 34-yard punt. Time for our Pacific Life game summary. A strange game. Notre Dame led 21-0. BC scored 13 unanswered points. But really has done very little on offense all night long. Boston College has just 6 first downs.
And Sean, we said at the start of this game that they were going to have to get behind that big offensive line and try to establish the running game to help take pressure off the quarterback. They haven't been able to do that all night long. 10 yards rushing.
Clyde Lee chopped down. Nice play by Darren Walls. And it's interesting because when we talked to Frank Spaziani, he said last year when he took over, he said the program was kind of in the emergency room. Turmoil, and Jeff Jagosinski was dismissed. Talent level started to drop off here. There wasn't a lot of energy in recruiting under Jagosinski, particularly from then the head coach himself, Jagosinski. But you got the sense Frank Spaziani thought they're better this year. He said last year we were in the emergency room, now we're just kind of in intensive care. Still a lot of work to do to build it back up to the level that you'd expect. But they won 8 games last year, and to me this team looks nowhere near as good as that team that won 8 games last year.
Yeah,
he thinks it's better.
Well, I think he was counting on it being better because he'd hoped that the development of sophomore Dave Shinsky would come along, and that didn't materialize. And then I also think that he was hoping with the receiver who got hurt that was going to help them also, because right now, I mean, they are kind of rudderless without a quarterback. And they have to have an accurate guy because, like we've talked about all game long, this receiving core is not the speediest group.
They've converted 2 third downs all night. Marskavetra throws short. Sterling Pfeiffer, who's Harris's backup, the freshman, taken down by Brian Smith short of the first down.
Yeah, this is painful if you're a Boston College fan because they haven't been able to generate anything.
Well, it's 2 weeks in a row. The offense has been anemic. They were shut out by Virginia Tech last week. The 11th punt will be a new career high for Quigley, a mark he was not hoping to achieve tonight. Line drive kick. John Goodman. Lost yardage. Good tackle by Wes Davis, the starting safety, still out there working hard on punt coverage. When we come back, a look at some of the headlines from today's college football action. Time now for tonight's big picture, brought to you by Sony. The Red River rivalry goes to Oklahoma. 28-20 the final. Mac Brown and the Longhorns now 3-2. Their worst start in a decade. No more undefeated teams left in the ACC. Crushing loss for North Carolina State today. They led 17-0 in that game at home and lost to Virginia Tech 41-30. Talk about a crushing loss. Tennessee looked like they had the game won. They had too many men on the field to pave the way in the final seconds for the LSU game-winning field goal. And Denard Robinson's done it again. He had more than 200 yards passing and rushing today against Indiana. It's the second time he's done that this year. First player in the history of major college football to do that twice. 200-yard passing and rushing game. Armando Allen, the ball carrier, and Dylan Quinn made the tackle. And if you voted for the Heisman right now, you'd have to think he would be the man. Denard Robinson.
Well, you know, Sean, and we've had a chance to watch him, Denard Robinson, when he had his first 200 yards passing and rushing. And if you're watching college football right now, Denard Robinson is the most exciting player in all of college football. And to me, he's the leading contender for the Heisman, because nobody's more important to their team than Denard Robinson. He has them off to a 5-0 start. They'll play Michigan State in a battle of the unbeatens this week. But Denard Robinson's a one-man show.
That'll be a fun game next week in Ann Arbor. We'll have it for you. We're excited to be going to it in Ann Arbor, 3:30 Eastern time on ABC next week. Undefeated Spartans, undefeated Wolverines. 3rd down and 10. Theo Riddick fights, and they're not going to give him first down yardage. Going to mark it back on the 45-yard line, a yard short. Dominic LeGrand, Donnie Fletcher combining on the stop. And let's hope Mark D'Antonio gets back to full health. Wasn't able to coach today from the coaching box as was planned, because they found a blood clot in a follow-up examination after his heart attack, right after he called for that game-winning fake field goal in overtime against Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, forget all the football for a second. Let's let's just get the good health back to
what
Mark
a good
D'Antonio,
guy
who
he
is a
is.
terrific coach.
Yep, and a solid human being. Of course, Don Treadwell did a nice job today. Went for it on 4th down with a terrific play call. He was also calling the plays in addition to serving as the interim head coach. Tamik Scafé appears to be all right now on the sidelines. But you think about how we talked at the top of the telecast. Notre Dame's 1-3.
Correct.
They lost the game to Michigan late. That was a wild back and forth game late. Lost in overtime to Michigan State. They could have come here pretty easily 3-1. But I mean, Stanford put it on them pretty good last week. But Stanford's a really good team.
Yeah, Stanford, Jim Harbaugh's done a fantastic job out there at Stanford, and that's a heck of a humdinger of a game going on out there right now. But Brian Kelly knows his team. This team is just inconsistent right now. It's not where he wants it to be. They're inconsistent throwing the ball. They're inconsistent running the ball. Once they find that consistency, the wins will pile up for him.
Well, if you enjoy punts, BC is the place to be tonight. There's Chris O'Donnell, the terrific actor, BC grad, not enjoying this one tonight.
He's acting like he does.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online, only at southwest.com. The new Ford Fiesta, it's a pretty big deal. And Budweiser, great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
Back at Alumni Stadium, BC student section trying to remain positive despite the scoreboard that shows their team down by 18 with just under 11 minutes to go. This edition of Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Boston College ball, 1st and 10 from their own 14. Mike Marskavetra still the quarterback. And there's a good catch. Fonny Moma out to the 29, 15 yards and a first down. Here's Heather.
Sean, last spring, Notre Dame recruit Matt James lost his life in an accident during a spring break trip. He attended the same high school as current BC players Alex Albright and Luke Kuechly. They wanted to honor Matt's memory, so they called Matt's parents to see how they'd feel about Alex wearing James's number 78 tonight. They were honored, so Alex is wearing it, except on special teams when he pulls a Superman and quickly changes his jersey to 39, so there's no duplicates out there, Sean.
That's why he was getting the 39 jersey on, because he's more likely to be on special teams than defense. He's had to do this all night. Alex called the James family to receive their blessings, and he said the family was very touched by the gesture. It was a terrible tragedy. And the young man lost his life on a vacation.
Well, that's a great kid right there, Alex Albright. We had a great talk with him yesterday, and fun to be around.
15-yard penalty. First down.
He knew Matt James, as did Luke Kuechly, who also played at St. Xavier in Cincinnati. That's the alma mater of the former Boston College coach Tom O'Brien. They've had a lot of players from the Cincinnati area here at BC over the years. Alex Albright's had to overcome a lot of adversity. You can see that scar on the back of his neck. He had spinal fusion surgery 2 years ago. He told us yesterday his neck was too flexible before the surgery, and his head would snap back, and when it would go too far back, it would pinch the top of his spine, and it started causing problems at the top of his spine. After the pass interference penalty moved BC back, Swigert has the pass back to the 21-yard line.
Yeah, and he said he had the surgery and everything feels fine and the strength level's good and all that. And so he was there with Mark Herzlich, and we were talking about him, and we got onto the subject of nutrition, how you take care of yourself, you eat properly and all that. And he said, Herzlich said, that is the worst eater I have ever seen.
The big burrito guy. Alex Albright likes to go to the Chipotle right down the street here, Cleveland Circle, and load up on burritos. Bobby Swigert tackled by Manti Te'o. The good news for Alex and the other Cincinnati guys. Alex is a big Cincinnati Reds fan, and he was fired up about the Reds making their way into the playoffs for the first time since the mid-90s.
Big red machine. Yeah, he said he may eat bad, but he washes it all down with as much soda as he can get.
I wonder if the BC medical, strength conditioning staff, nutrition folks know about that diet. 3rd down and long, 3rd and 8, Marska-Vetra, and it is intercepted by Robert Blanton. And now they have to hurry to get his defensive number back on, the 78 that he's wearing as the tribute tonight. That is the first Boston College turnover of the night.
Well, he just couldn't get it quite over the top. Looked like he tried to sneak it in over the top of him, and Blanton was able to fall off his coverage and get a hand in there.
5th career interception for Blanton, junior for Matthews, North Carolina. Plays a lot as their 3rd cornerback, excuse me. The quarterback, Chris, swings it out to Riddick. That looks a lot like the Cincinnati offense that we've seen under Brian Kelly the last few years, getting that ball out wide to a guy who can make a play.
Yeah, and he's still, like I said, they make it defend the whole field, but they're still not there. They're just, there's something missing right there with this offense. And Coach Kelly knows it.
Riddick the other way, and he appears to have the first down. Luke Kuechly made the tackle, and they're going to mark it a little short, it appears, from where the official on the near side came in. Imagine being able to throw a football into the next zip code, or being able to catch a 100-mile-per-hour fastball with your bare hands. One family can do all those things and more. Don't miss an all-new episode of the super-powered series No Ordinary Family, Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on ABC, starring Michael Chiklis, who used to be the police commissioner on the commish. 3rd and 1, and Chris keeps it for a first down. Chris is used to seeing the Chris O'Donnell types. Grew up spending a lot of time on the Warner Brothers lot. His dad was director of security at Warner Brothers out in Los Angeles. Started out as a security guy and worked his way up to director of security. Tim Christ. Dane told us the other day it was kind of fun to go to work with his dad, walk around, see George Clooney over there walking around, and other big stars. Allen carried for about 5.
And now Clooney and all those guys are out there saying, hey, see the Chris kid playing the other night? They have a way to reciprocate.
Dane's bounced back from knee surgery at the end of last year. He got in the game against Washington State down the Alamodome in San Antonio and blew up his knee. He had to have reconstructive surgery. Nice play by Max Holloway to take down Armando Allen for a loss. And we're under 7 minutes to go.
Young Max, we talked about his dad, Brian, who stopped in here a little while ago.
Yes.
Played up here for the Patriots, and then his teammate of mine out with the Raiders. just a young guy. He's only a sophomore. Got a good feel for the position. He'll grow into that, and they'll get a couple more good years out of Max.
We're looking for more plays from defensive ends. Chris throws right on the money, but Goodman couldn't hang on. Donnie Fletcher broke it up. It'll be 4th down, and we'll see what Brian Kelly does. It would be a long field goal try from here, about a 50-yarder.
Brian Kelly cracks me up. He'll have something to say to everybody.
He does seem to get over it quickly. The anger comes in bursts, and the next thing you know, he's just kind of casually chatting and pulling up his pants. We're going to go for it on 4th down. Christ throws on the run. It's intercepted. Donnie Fletcher bringing it back for Boston College. There are flags down on the return. Might have been an illegal block. But Christ has thrown his first interception of the night, and you know what's coming. Get off the field, he says to his offense.
Personal foul. Illegal block below the waist. Number 9 on the return team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
You saw it right there, DeLeon Gauze. You got to stay up. And he just takes old Big Stewart out right at the knees.
Does any mistake ever go unhollered at, do you think?
No, that's the one area where they're very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
he, like you said, he's an equal opportunity yeller.
That penalty against Boston College on the return was their 11th. Notre Dame's been flagged once. Swing pass for Sterling Pfeiffer. Trying to get him more touches to reduce the workload on Montel Harris. He fought to get back to the line of scrimmage. Here's a look live at the interception as Coach Kelly watched. And then he asked, "Are you kidding me?"
Are you kidding me? Get off the field.
Timeout, Boston College, with 5:35 to go. This week on Monday Night Football, a AFC battle in the Eastern Division between Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, Brandon Marshall and the Miami Dolphins. Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins at 7 with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Patriots have struggled lately on the road.
Yeah, absolutely they have, and they've the Dolphins have played well at home. I brought my brother with me.
Here's Marskavetra throwing underneath to Alex Amadon, and he's down at the 20-yard line, tackled by Robert Blanton. There's Chase Rettig, who was the starting quarterback, the true freshman. Looked like he was just starting to get in a little bit of a rhythm when he injured his left ankle, and that doesn't look good. The BC Sports Information folks not divulging the diagnosis, but he's got a boot, it looks, on that left leg. Marskavetra throws it to Swigert. And he's out to the 30-yard line, tackled by Steve Filer. Dan Fox, a couple of backup linebackers who are in. Heather, what do you have for us?
Well, as you mentioned, Chase is out here in sweats with that boot on that left ankle. He did have x-rays in the locker room during halftime. Now, the training staff has told me they can neither confirm nor deny the results of that x-ray and whether or not it's broken. He is maintaining that new leadership role. He's been in the huddle. He remains very active with his teammates out here.
Marskavetra given time that time. Zips one, caught. Bobby Swigert across midfield to the Notre Dame 49. 20-yard gain. Notre Dame with some backups in on the defense. Dan McCarthy, backup free safety. made the tackle there.
Yeah, and also playing some zone. So if you're sitting at home and you're going, where was this earlier? Well, where it is they're playing a completely different coverage.
Again, all day to throw, and Marska-Vetra has a man, and the juggling catch made by Bobby Swigert. Another backup Zeke Mott, although he plays a lot, had the coverage. Another 20-yard completion for BC.
Well, he has the time, and then Swigert just does a nice job at the end of this, just coming down with it. That's some pretty good hands right there.
It's easy to see why they like him. Swigert. He's had a big night tonight.
Tom Waddle-esque.
Whoops. Marska-Vetra throws an interception to Harrison Smith. Senior from Knoxville, Tennessee. They got him back in there, the starter, with BC moving deep into Notre Dame territory. And Smith has an interception. He said there was going to be some divided loyalty in his family tonight because he has a cousin, Mary, who goes to Boston College. So his folks were up here to see the cousins and watch Harrison play against the Eagles tonight. Sure to stay tuned right after the game tonight for the Ford wrap-up with Robert Flores. Big day of college football. He'll have the scores and highlights for you as soon as we're finished here in Chestnut Hill. Harrison Smith, the interception to give the ball back to Notre Dame. Tommy Reese, one of the backup quarterbacks, is in. He gave it to Robert Hughes, who charged ahead for about 3, chopped down by Jim Noel. Here's Reese, freshman out of Lake Forest, Illinois. Of course, their other backup quarterback is Nate Montana, the son of the great former Notre Dame star, Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Montana.
We had a chance to see his other son up in Washington a few weeks ago.
Nick Montana.
Yep.
Yes.
There's Nate.
Yeah, the dad was pretty good.
Not too bad.
Hughes again. We mentioned that Notre Dame has had a tough schedule. They've played 3 teams already this year ranked in the top 25 in the country. The only team that could make that claim entering this weekend's action. And it looks like, not that there are pushovers upcoming, but it does look like the schedule is going to get a lot easier for them. Pittsburgh's been a disappointment so far, then Western Michigan, Navy, Tulsa, Utah, Army, and then at USC. So I'd like their chances to run off a bunch of wins because, you know, when you watch this game tonight, there's a clear difference between these two teams. Brian Kelly has playmakers. You know, the quarterback, Chris, has Floyd and Rudolph and Allen with which to work, while whoever the BC quarterback is doesn't have much around.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty apparent tonight. And then he also has Theo Riddick out there to make some plays. But, you know, the thing that when you watch this Notre Dame team tonight, you can see that they're still a work in progress. They're still not where they want to be. And I think Dane Christ is a little inconsistent. We talked to Coach Kelly about that, and he had mentioned that he's still working on some things. So you can see that defensively, you know, they don't have a great pass rush. They have to generate a pass rush for themselves, but they have some guys over there who can make some plays. Young linebackers are good.
It's interesting because watching game day this morning, our friend and colleague Kirk Herbstreit said he was going to pick Notre Dame to win this game. Then he watched the tape of the Stanford game and said the Notre Dame defense was as slow as a high school defense.
Yeah, well,
would you share that opinion after watching them play in person tonight?
Well, it's a little. What happened? There are 2 different football teams. Stanford is not Boston College.
They can make you look slow.
Yeah, they can make you look a couple different ways. And but you know, they were exposed a little bit a week ago, but they regrouped. And every game's a new game, so they do have some playmakers, like we said. Those 2 inside backers, they do themselves pretty well. But they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle defensively a little bit. You get a good thrower, good passer, and you can't get enough generate any kind of pass rush. He'll move the ball.
So the punt-a-thon continues. And 19 punts in the game now. Tuesday, don't miss an all-new episode of ABC's new drama, Detroit 187, starring Michael Imperioli and James McDaniels. Great cops made in Detroit. When it's your hometown, everything is personal. That's Detroit 187, Tuesday at 10, 9 Central on ABC. Marskovetra coming to the sideline now for the play call. A pretty balanced offense tonight for Notre Dame. Chris threw for 203. Allen rushed for 90 and a touchdown. Riddick had 9 catches. Floyd had 4 for 69 yards and a touchdown. And BC, some unbelievable numbers. This is, we've mentioned, as Pfeiffer goes out of bounds far side. This is a team that ran the ball very well last year with Montel Harris, over 1,400 yards. He's back. They have a big offensive line with a lot of returning starters, and they can't run the ball at all right now.
Not as well. I mean, now they're not going to, obviously, but when they did try to run it, they could not get on track. And credit Notre Dame. Notre Dame's down 3, took care of them.
Of course, when you can't play effectively through the air, teams will load up on the run. BC can't throw it particularly well right now either. BC tonight, 21 rushes for 10 yards, less than a half a yard per rush. Jordan McMichael the catch on the far sideline. A disappointing night for Montel Harris, black belt in karate, who told us yesterday he thought he was going to Duke. Yeah. He was offered by only 2 schools out of high school in Jacksonville, Florida, Duke and Ball State. And he committed to Duke during his junior year in high school. Marskovetra's taken down. I've never heard this before as a recruiting story. Said a week before the signing deadline, he gets a call. There's a Boston College coach who wants to see him. So he goes down to meet the BC assistant coach. BC hadn't really been recruiting him much at all. And the coach said to him, if you really are 5'9" and you're 175 pounds, we'll offer you a scholarship right now. So they measured him. He was exactly 5'9". He got on a scale. He was exactly 175. And he got the scholarship offer and came to BC because he wanted to be a part of their winning tradition here.
And he has good run skills. He needs some help. You can't run out there against a defense all by yourself. And tonight, you know, the disappointment of the offensive line and not giving enough room. But if you give that kid some room, he'll get you with his feet. And he also has good hands out of the backfield, catch as well.
McMichael the catch on the last play. 3rd down and 9, nearing a minute to go. Notre Dame's going to win in the Holy War for the 2nd year in a row after losing 6 straight. Prince Shembo, the freshman, with a sack. Fourth down, they're going to go for it. Well, the punter's going to have to punt with his left leg.
Illegal snap on the center. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Hollering toward the finish. Stay tuned after our game tonight for your late local news on most of these ABC stations, and over on ESPN you can catch Sports Center for post-game analysis of this game as well as all of today's scores and highlights. On 4th down and 15, Marskovetra throws incomplete for Amadon. There is a flag down. Frank Spaziani decided not to have Quigley punt for the 12th time. I think their 11-game bowl streak could be in jeopardy. 11 straight bowl games.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. 91 defense. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
They have a lot of work to do with his passing game, and they really have a lot of work to do with that quarterback position.
Well, the schedule gets a lot tougher now. They'll go on the road for their first road game of the year against their old friend Tom O'Brien at NC State next week, then at Florida State. Maryland here would seem to be their next time they might be favored in a game. McMichael, the intended receiver, and Dan McCarthy came like a missile, junior out of Youngstown, Ohio, to break that one up. This will be just the second win in the last 9 games for Notre Dame, dating back to last year. They lost their last 4. It led to the end of Charlie Weiss. Started out 1-3 this year. Before this win tonight, Andre Williams, the catch out of the backfield. True freshman running back, tapped by Steve Filer. Good for a first down. BC will hurry up and try to get at least one more playoff. And the pass incomplete, and that will be the final play of the game. Couple of tough weeks in a row for Frank Spaziani, and a triumphant return home for Brian Kelly, as the Irish end their 3-game losing streak and get to 2-3. Boston College now 2-2. The Irish led 21-0. BC made a game of it with 13 straight points, but then Notre Dame dominated in the second half. Final score: Notre Dame 31, Boston College 13. Here's Heather.
Coach Kelly, what a homecoming. You were born and raised here in Massachusetts, went to high school and college. How memorable is tonight's win because you had more than 100 friends and family here with you?
I have 100 friends, huh? It didn't seem that way coming in, but you know, we played hard. You know, we got off to a good start, obviously on the road. Anytime you get off to a good start, that helps your football team. And we played really good defense. Other than one double move, I think we held them to under 20 yards rushing. So, you know, anytime you play that kind of run defense on the road, and we made some plays early on and built a cushion.
Now, last week you guys were held to just 44 yards rushing against Stanford. How did you ignite the running game tonight? Well,
we went back to our spread principles. We tried to be something that we weren't really, and try to protect our quarterback a little bit too much, and went back to spreading the field. And that's what we are, and that's where we have to continue to grow.
Coach Kelly, congratulations.
Thanks, Heather. Appreciate it.
His defense officially held Boston College to 5 net yards of rushing tonight. For Matt Millen, Heather Cox, and our entire crew, Sean McDonough saying so long from lovely Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Now let's send you back to Robert Flores in our New York studios for the Ford wrap-up.